Hey there, today we're going to talk about turkeys some more. So, the other day we talked about turkeys for like 10 or 15 minutes, and I gave you a bunch of my favorite tips. Now, I've just come off of my latest turkey, which was delightful and delicious and all the things. I'm going to give you a few more tips slash feedback on what I found on this last iteration. So, previously, I talked about a brining bag. That's a bag that you put your brine in and your turkey in, and you keep the turkey submerged for 7 to 12 hours. And it's kind of a bit of a hack because it's easier to do than a bucket, which is typically what's suggested. The problems with the brining bag are, one, it's very difficult to get into your fridge. Two, because of the odd shape of the bag and the turkey, it's often very difficult to manage and move around. And three, sometimes it's tricky to figure out how to completely submerge the bird. Often if your bag has the wrong shape, you'll have a lot of liquid in extra corners, but won't have it where you need it. So I'm gonna go back on this and say, while brining bags maybe work great, a bucket is still best. It's still easiest to use a bucket. So use a bucket. I used basically garbage bags, and maybe someone has better experience using an actual brining bag, but I just wanted to give you some feedback. Buckets are best, just remember that. So the next thing we're gonna talk about is browning the turkey. Now this is like a very tricky and interesting thing that a lot of people struggle with, myself included. In my previous recipe and comments, I said to use canola oil and apply it, liberally to the skin. But I'm gonna add two things. One, canola oil is good. It's a very cheap, high smoke point oil. But if you're gonna do that first half hour at 500 degrees, like I suggested, canola oil is still a little bit, still has a smoke point a little bit lower than that. So the alternatives which you can use are grapeseed oil or pure avocado oil. Both of these, especially if it has to be very pure avocado oil, both of these have a very high smoke point, almost at 500 degrees. And so that's gonna give you better results, and it won't smoke up your kitchen as much if you are going really at that 500 degree rip-roaring oven. So they're more expensive, but they do lead to have a little more, tolerance to that heat. They can handle that higher heat. So I would suggest if you use those to get to 500 and go for 30 to 40 minutes. I know I would say 35 is probably a good place to start. And see the kind of results that you get. So that's thing one, use a grapeseed or avocado oil and go for a little bit longer because you have an oil that can stand the temperature better. So that's thing one. Thing two is, when I say liberally, I mean liberally. Pour that oil on, wipe it all over, make sure that turkey's really nice and oily, because that's gonna lead to a nice, rich, deep color. The fat's gonna be coming out of the skin, mixing with the oil, and just getting nice and brown and crispy over time. So that's excellent. So I also wanna talk about the turkey shield. Now the turkey shield is theoretically simple, because it's just a piece of tinfoil over the breast of the turkey. But there's a few caveats. First of all, making the turkey shield can be kind of tricky. You want to use a very long piece of foil, and you can't see how far I'm putting my hands out, but it is a long piece of foil. And then create a triangle based on that. Now, I actually did some math on this because I'm a nerd, but you want to be able to make this turkey triangle in a few layers of aluminum foil, not too many, because if it's too many, it will create a very large heat shield, and can be problematic. I had a relatively thick heat shield this time, turkey hat we'll call it actually, but it actually worked really well. It did stop a little bit of the browning because it was in contact close to that area, so that was something I was a little bit disappointed about, but it did keep that breast mostly moist, even though it still did overcook slightly. Another few things to watch out are make sure that you can fit your turkey pan, roasting pan into the oven, legs first. Personally, for me this time, my oven was not large enough to handle the roasting rack that I had because the handles came out quite a bit. So I had to get it in and slightly to the side, which again was fine, but led to a slight unevenness in the cooking sides. I probably should have turned it around halfway through to help balance that out. Smart. This is why I do YouTube videos, so I can remember these things, crystallize this intelligence, and learn while I'm talking to you. So those are some things with the turkey. I used a regular Cuisinart carving knife and carving fork to get in at it. Oftentimes I have a little bit of trouble carving because it's hard to find that bottom joint, but we'll go into a carving video later. And you know, the thing with turkeys is no one ever eats the drumsticks or the dark meat because there's only 2 of them, so people are worried about it. So I would say you should carve those up if you want people to eat them, and or force them onto other people to have them eat them. So that's, you know, 2 things. And let's see, what else? So they typically say 2 pounds of turkey per person is a good way to go. I had a 21-pound bird for 16 people, 15 or 16 people, 16 people. And you know, we only ate half of it. Yeah, we only ate half of that. And everyone brought food too, so we had so much food. I literally brought back half a turkey and we didn't even eat everything we had. Almost didn't eat everything we had. So those are my new suggestions. They are an add-on to my last video. We'll call this a turkey epilogue. Use more oil. Use a higher smoke point oil. If you have a higher smoke point oil, go at your top temperature of 500 degrees for slightly longer than 30 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes. Make sure that if your turkey does not go into the oven straight back, as in feet first, breast front, you have to put it sideways. If you do have to put it sideways, make sure you turn it halfway through. Make sure, of course, that your probe goes into the deepest part of the turkey. Use a very long piece of aluminum foil when initially making your heat shield. What else? Of course, make sure to take out giblets and neck and whatnot when cooking. We'll do a separate video on carving, and probably about 1 to 1.5 pounds of bird per person is appropriate. Now, I did have one interesting thing, which was how to tell when my turkey's going to be done. Typically, say for a 12 to 14 pound bird, it's 2 to 2.5 hours, plus maybe like 15 minutes a pound, something like that. But I find that to be relatively inaccurate, especially because based on the amount of time you brine, the type of turkey you have, its salt content, the true temperature of your oven, the initial temperature of the turkey, and like the innermost parts of the turkey. When you put it into the oven, all those things will cause variation in temperature. So what I've done is made a quick little turkey timer app, which will take a few data points, a minimum of 2 data points, as in, when I say data point, we'll take in the time and deep breast temperature of your turkey at a few points and determine when it actually will be done, and done being reaches 161 or 165 degrees. So that is available, links in the description, and thank you again for listening. Yeah, bye.